Today is Wednesday, May the 27th, and I'm so sorry that this is late at 11:15. I got caught up in other things. But look at this. The Dow got support when it came down to yesterday's close. Nasdaq didn't behave well. It went down, but it went down from the open, as did the Dow. But it didn't start with the same opening gap that the Dow did. The S&P 500 actually dropped below, it dropped negative, and then picked up and ended positively. Very strong end of the day. High volume in the Nasdaq, high volume in the S&P 500, and probably higher volume than we saw last week in the Dow. But the important thing that we want to look at here is the Mclellan Oscillator. And look at this. Now I'm going to bring in some pictures so we can discuss the Mclellan Oscillator. We have now this series of lower highs, but we also have this series of higher lows, and we've got a wedge pattern happening here. There's only 2 points on the bottom. There could very well be a third one coming before we break out, but I got the feeling that we're going higher. Now there are other instances where this has happened. This is the current one. This is another one that we saw in the past. This was back at the beginning of 2020. High, lower high, lower high, and then, a big crash. And then there's 3 patterns. The same thing happened back here in summer of 2019. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a big drop. So we've got to look for that to happen again. And tomorrow is likely to be either a small up or it's going to be a down, and it's going to continue to fill in on this wedge pattern today. So I know I'm not telling you very much. I'm saying it's either up or it's either down. I just don't expect a big up day tomorrow. You would think that there would be some profit taking going on right now. I'm sorry I didn't enter these numbers into my spreadsheet yet to show you the volumes. But if we look at this, that's almost 5 million in total volume. That's quite high. 1 million in declines. So from a volume point of view, it's probably higher than yesterday, and it's going to be one of the highest days that we've had in the last couple of weeks. Let's now go to the charts, and the S&P is important because we broke over the gap. We argued with the gap, but we did a full fill of the gap. We came down during the day. You saw that in the FinViz chart where we went below yesterday's close. And where did we get support? At the bottom of the gap. So we really call this. We said we were at the bottom of the gap. We were going to go back and look for support on the 200. And if we got it, we were moving higher, and we did. So where are we going now? Tomorrow we probably see something like this. We probably see a little bit of up and then a little bit of down, where it's going to come back down and test the top of the gap and see if the buyers are still there. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq. And the Nasdaq did the same thing. This is a gap that's already been filled, but it went back. Well, it did fill the gap. But it went back anyways, and it played with the gap, found support at the bottom of the gap, and then ended up right at the top of the gap. Apple, beautiful stock. Love the way it's just forming this cup and handle pattern. This is a pattern that Investors Business Daily, financial rag if you ask me, but highly political financial paper, even worse than the Wall Street Journal. You've got this cup. This is really not a V shape, is it? It's a cup. And now we've got this handle pattern forming. So we should draw that in here to remember to talk about it. And where are we going to do it? Put our channel in here. But this is the handle that's forming. And we're going to watch to see how it resolves this handle. Cup and handle patterns often break higher, but we still have the 200% Fibonacci that we described yesterday that we have to break through. And if we do that, then that's going to be great news for Apple. Apple's just a great stock. I hope that you're holding on to it. Caterpillar is surprising. Caterpillar, the Chiku span broke out of the cloud. The Chiku span is now heading towards resistance on the 200 SMA, which, look at that, coincides with the 200, I'm going to get rid of this one now, with the 200 EMA on price. So when the candle hits the 200 EMA, there's a good possibility that the Chiku span is going to hit the 200 SMA. So watch those. Sorry, that's not the 200 SMA. What am I talking about? That's a trend line that I drew a long time ago. I'm so sorry about that. We're looking at initially price having resistance on the 200, and the Chiku span will have a little bit more to go. So Caterpillar is looking strong for some reason, despite talks about tearing up a China deal. Home Depot, great stock. Love the way that it's channeling also, staying at that 100% Fibonacci. The longer it stays there, the less chance it has of breaking out. So we're going to be taking a look at this channel as well in the next coming days. Let's look at Nvidia. Nvidia is really not looking very good. Came back and filled this gap so we can get rid of it. Don't know what to say about Nvidia other than there was some exuberance to help it break out of this bat pattern, but now it's come back down to the bat. Facebook also had a down day, 2%. The banks had a good day. US Bank up 5%. Let's take a look at the other banks. And look at that, 7% Bank of America, 7% Goldman Sachs, 6% JP Morgan, and 4.3% the XLF. So that's strong. Let's take a look now at our copper stocks that we have not looked at in a while. And we've still got TECK that's dealing with this gap. The only time I would look at it is when it breaks the gap. So let's create an alert right there. And let's look at FCX, which is a pure, pretty much a pure industrial infrastructure copper play. And it has now broken out of this wedge pattern that's sort of screwed up on, but not as exciting a pattern as TECK. TECK is the one to keep your eye on. NAT, forget about it. Gold, rejection off that trend line, forget about it. Oil and gas, BP, nothing. Exxon breaking out of the cloud. Where did we see resistance today? Look at that. Chiku span would have made it this high today, and that would have been the bottom of the cloud. Once again, traders are trading on the daily Chiku span. So that's it for today. I'm sorry I'm late, so that's why I want to keep it short. One more, Beyond Meat. I had some Beyond Meat burgers the other day. They were fantastic, but friends were telling me if you don't eat it as a burger, you eat it as ground beef and substitute it as ground beef in a spaghetti sauce or anything, it's not the same and you won't like it. The stock is pulling back from its 50% Fibonacci. If you're interested in buying it, I wouldn't do it until it is able to cross that 50% Fibonacci again. Thank you very much. My apologies for being late.